that are looking to make a name for themselves here.
As nice as it is to see G1 make it into pools, almost nicer to see the LATAM community represented in this tournament. First Infinite tournament we've seen with them here, and let's see what they can do. Maybe it's their chance to get a win on the board. Got Dragoniak, I believe, to kick things off. I better get it right, Tony, because he's making plays to start. There's a double.
There's been plenty of times that I've run into Dragon in matchmaking, mainly in Halo 5, and let me tell you, he used to just have his way. He was a bully. I'm not a fan of Dragon. I'm not a fan of someone's gonna bully me. Same thing with Nugget. Nugget is one of the leading slayers on this team. He definitely has some talent, and also the Rockets as well, as he takes down one and Tony.
Nugget, definitely a name I recognize. High-level LATAM player, bouncing around on some of the best teams in his region. Finds himself on Cruelty and finds a ball in his hands. Probably gonna get the kill though first. He'll put that ball down. We'll see if his teammates can get to it in time to collect something off his setup. Instead, it's G1 who got it in back subway. You can see all 4 of their members surrounding it too. So a little setup for G1 here early on.
Tony immediately going to drop that ball to try to help apply pressure to the enemy team along with his teammates. When you got the ball in hands, you don't have to be a sitting duck. You can drop it, you can put down damage, you can stay alive, you can make yourself a presence on the map, right? Even with the ball in hands. And Swish going to try to stay alive with the Stalker rifle, ends up being taken down. So now we're going to switch gears over towards Tony. He's going one shot as well.
Tony just doing what he can to stay up here. Does not have a kill just yet on the board. Neither does Swish. PreDevoNatoR, on the other hand, he's been popping off. Apparently, he's 6-3. We'll see what Rinnegan can do. Ball, of course, out center. Nice baitable location to work with, but you can see he's lost 2 of his teammates here. So Rinnegan, hopefully, he can come away with a kill. Gonna fly it with Shoddy. Unfortunate miss. And if you miss shots on land Halo, Tony, you know, there's no excuses, right? You're going down.
Nugget has the flank off over towards that back C side, and G1 having no idea he's there. They're actually rotating the ball over towards the C side. Here's the flank coming in from Nugget, able to take down one. Swish off the screen, gets the double kill with the Rockets, and Nugget gonna answer back with a double kill of his own. So great job for Nugget to get the flank off, clear out the C side, but his job is not done yet. G1 are 2 down. They need to get this ball over towards a more favorable position, or at least get their teammates surrounding the ball so they can hold on to this C side setup.
I'll tell you who's not missing. Nugget is 8-2 on the board. He's also collecting ball time for his team as Cruelty get aggressive on the Swish. There he goes. Just trying to get some scrappy time. Oh, well, he does it. Nugget gonna sail straight over that blue player. Looks like he might leave behind and enter the death screen as well. G1, they managed to get themselves back into subway to get the setup. Unfortunate for Cruelty, there was never really a moment where it felt like they had numbers. Kind of just pouring in here one at a time.
38-14 lead going in favor of G1. Dragoniak trying to find an angle to get toward the C side, but notice how he has that awareness. He knows there's gonna be somebody on the beach, on the railing, watching his cross. Nugget ends up taking down that player, so that might be the opening that they need in order to push through the C side subway. There's only one more player that's guarding the ball, but Nugget goes all the way down to 1 shot. He's gonna have to regain his shield.
He's doing work for his team right now with 10 on the board. We'll see what Cruelty can do to keep up and help out. Here we got Rinnegan coming into the fray. There's a pickup on the PreDevoNatoR. Nugget, unfortunately, cannot stay up, and as they lose their numbers, can they get to the ball? You can see G1 very intelligently. They're going to rotate that ball away from Cruelty. Keep it on driveway in the meantime. They're starting to run out of time on the side of Cruelty to get to it and do something here. Tony, 70 and counting.
Dragon trying to stay alive. Tony Tuchert going to bring that ball right back into the subway side of the map. Now that Rockets are coming up in less than 3 seconds there, he has to try to get an angle. But they're going to try to slide in towards front C, and Tony puts him down quickly. Somehow, though, Dragon able to get away with the Rockets, and G1 have just gone 3 down. We are starting to see some life coming out of Cruelty here.
This is what you'd like to see, at the very least. They don't have ball time, though, right? They're not positioned for it. Nugget is getting kills, which is great, but, I mean, you got to get time on the board. They got to find out a way to secure that ball. Finally, they do have it. They're going to rotate it up through B side here. Dragon does know there's one below, but should he have dropped for it, right? You take some risky plays when you enter your opponent's territory, especially if you don't have the opening shots. Nugget knows what he's doing. He'll take a double. At the very least, that gives Danny a little bit of space to make a play of his own.
You know, you can't put the blame on Nugget. The man's doing everything he can to try to create some opportunities for his teammates. If you're gonna hold on to a setup, somebody has to be getting slays. And as of right now, it's Nugget. But DanyKnight gonna join him with the double kill. Love the fact that he goes right in for the ball, rotating over towards the A side of the map. We're starting to see some good points go in favor of Cruelty.
Cruelty with just a little bit of momentum. 2 more kills on the feed as well, going to free them up to hopefully get some more time with the ball. As nice as it is to see control around the ball, Tony, I just feel like they're not getting a lot of time for the positioning that they have here, right? Only 28 seconds to go with. Starting to lose their numbers here. You'll see Rinnegan going to try to find a way to get back to the fray here. 80 points and counting as G1. They're going to bring that ball away from the enemy, back to see where it started. And I just feel like Cruelty had a rotation opportunity to get it to high ground, and it just didn't happen in this situation. Because of it, Tony, this might be the end of the round.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I feel like numbers have been in favor of Cruelty, but the efficiency just doesn't seem to be there. Swish going to go in for the challenge. Sally is going to be taken down as Dragon trying to break G1 setup. 3 down go G1.
Damn.
But the final seconds being put on the board. We see a 1-0 lead going in favor of G1. Someone on Cruelty needs to do the dirty work. Someone needs to make sure that they're grabbing his ball, because they're getting slays.
I mean, well, Nugget is. He got 17 in that first round. He's definitely doing work. You'd like to see his team pick up off of it, or at least pick up the ball, get some time. And here is the early opportunity for G1 to do, I mean, the exact same thing over again, just in the high part of the map this time. 8 and counting. Unfortunate for Cruelty, right? 0-3 in their pool so far, maybe feeling a little deflated. G1 in the meantime, 2 very close shaves with high-level teams. They're hungry. I think they finally want their win in this pool, and I think they've realized that Cruelty might be the victim here.
PreDevoNatoR putting the commando to work. Player goes down to 1 shot. The melee gonna quickly deal with them, and without any timing loss, chucking some grenades to deny access towards that ball. I believe Cruelty wanted to grab a hold of that ball and bring it back towards their Purple Street spawners, but some excellent placed grenades coming out of PreDevoNatoR, and he's not done. Finds yet another kill. How is that man able to stay alive for so long?
I mean, you got to love the use of the slides, Tony, right? Perfectly timing crouch off that little ledge. He flies forward into melee range, and that gives him that nice little trade. Turns 1 kill into 2. And movement like that can give you a little bit of an opportunity to hold on to control here. You can see G1 doing that quite well. 30 seconds and counting here. Cruelty, they got to knock at the doors.
All in the hands of G1. Like you said, Cruelty needs to find a way to break the setup, and PreDevoNatoR puts another kill onto the feed. Dragoniak not able to get the pickup kill onto that player over towards Arcade, but somehow Nugget finds a back angle, has the Bulldog in hand, puts the shiny to the body. That's going to be 1 down for G1, but all 3 of his teammates go down. All his friends are dead.
Did he get backspec? Either way, I mean, big play out of PreDevoNatoR. That's the risky, business behind slide challenging in Halo Infinite, is the commitment that comes with flying out with a slide when you think you got to kill. PreDevoNatoR with the awareness, just taking advantage. And like you said, Nugget was alone in PD, and he's going to be alone again. All of Cruelty just dying on the kill feed. Tony with easy access to the ball and more time. G1, they have yet to be threatened by the enemy team here.
I don't know, something about this Tony guy. I like him. I don't know.
I can't put it together. I don't know what it is. There's some coincidence in here. Either way, what I do see is some ball time for Cruelty for the first time in this round, but will it extend to anything? They're just kind of barreling on through back A.
And as of right now, round number 2, they are simply getting outslayed right now. G1 are clearing them out left and right, are just looking way too comfortable. Cruelty needs to find a way. Maybe they need to overload one side with 3 players. Find a way to make G1 uncomfortable. Put them on their back foot, because the challenging individual gunfights is not working. G1 are simply winning.
Sorry to say, Tony, I think that the opportunity to make G1 uncomfortable might have to happen in Slayer. It hasn't even been that long of a day. We're already tripping out here. It's going to happen in Slayer, because this game's over, is what I'm trying to say. I don't really see, just based off of what we've seen, an opportunity for a comeback here. Cruelty does have the ball, but look at the kill feed. It's only a matter of time until Tony gets right back on top of it.
Tony's here, Tony's there, Tony's everywhere. 3 down goes Cruelty, and Toni putting the Bulldog to work. G1 able to steal away that ball and bringing it over towards back A as they're 22 seconds away from taking the game. I don't know, what was that? What was that?
I mean, you know, there are certain situations where I'd say a little bit of body disrespect is like, that's a mental game. You know, that's, I respect it. That's part of competitive Halo. Then there's a situation where you're just owning the enemy team and you're also bagging them. Like, is it too much, you know? Is it just offensive at this point? Not in tournament play? No, doesn't matter. Anything goes in tournament play. Yeah. If you're going to play dirty, you play dirty. I mean, the team name is Cruelty, so maybe it's what they've been asking for coming into this tournament, because at this rate, they might end up 0-4 in their pool if they don't find a way to snap it together, snap into action. Do something in Slayer, because game 1, I mean, that was quick, very quick.
Well, like you said it towards the end of that game. You know, game 1 was over.
Yeah.
If Cruelty were going to come back in this game, it's going to be on game 2 Slayer. What's one way to throw them off? Get in their head, play that mental game, go in with the bags, you know, do a couple of squats. I know you've been doing some squats. You got to get them
Y'all
squats.
Can't see the lower half of this camera, and you probably wouldn't want to anyway. I'm just kidding. Where are we going with it, Toni? Right, I'd like to see them find a way to bounce back, and I think the way to do it is, sure, you can body disrespect. I think the confidence on the side of G1 is over the roof at this point. Their egos aren't going to be shattered by a little body disrespect. They need to couple it with a full round of slays. They need to get multiple dead without a return and a setup and a collapse. Like, we need to see momentum for any form of you know, mental effect on G1 here.
Why don't we take a look at the stats, because they really tell a story. First of all, number 1, on the upper echelon, I mean, on the upper side of the bracket, or I guess the scoreboard here, you have Nugget dropping 24 kills.
Wow.
That just pops off to me right away. But then on the other side, you got almost 20 kills out of 3 out of 4 members coming out of G1. PreDevoNatoR with 22, Swish just 1 shy of dropping the 20 bomb, and then Squallaye with 18 kills and 10 assists.
I think you're just waiting for your moment for him to make a big play, just so you can say that, say his name like that. Either way, we got the damage on screen as well. Squallaye coming off with 5,200, but the 6,000 out of Swish.
Okay.
Little storyline with Swish, though, right? He's the newest entrant onto this team. He's been bouncing around a little bit with a few different rosters. He almost ended up on Fnatic for a second there. Was you know, dabbling. Ended up on G1. Looks like he's been a great addition to the team as well. So far, so good for this series, and a series that G1 absolutely need. They've gone down in 2 previously. Let's get them a dub here.
Yeah, formerly of Oxygen Esports, was running games with Fnatic, built by gamers and probably a bunch of other teams, but it seems like Swish has found a home here on G1, and they're up 1-0 in the series, up against Latin America's very own Cruelty, but we're going into Slayer. We're going into Recharge. How many times have we seen a team dominate in an objective game number 1 and then lose a close game 2? I'm not going to count Cruelty out just yet.
We'll see what they can do with their positioning, how quickly they can get into a setup on Recharge, because, I mean, the sightlines on that map, you can lock them down if you got the attic, you got A side. Can they hold that positioning? Can they find ways to, you know, maintain their lead throughout the game? This is less of a snowball as far as, you know, the way the map plays in comparison to something like Street Slayer. Street Slayer, you know, one team gets momentum. If G1's going big, they're going to run through their opponents for the remainder of the game. But Recharge, you can slow it down. You can change the pace. You can alter the direction, the flow of the game here. So we'll see if Cruelty can find an opportunity, because if they don't find it here in Slayer, Toni, it's, you know, that's dangerous territory going down 0-2.
You use the word slow, and I think that's what Cruelty needs to do. They need to slow down G1. G1 came in way too hot in that game number 1, and Cruelty needs to find a way to slow him down, and I think it's going to be on the backs of Nugget. Nugget has proven that he can slay with everybody in the lobby, and he's going to continue to do that, especially when the only objective right now is first to 50 kills.
Yeah. Unfortunately, their entire team died off the opening strat without a single return. And that is the worst case scenario if you're Cruelty, because you see how quickly G1 snap into action. You already got Swish with a remote detonation. You got Squallaye with a camo and a shock, and no need to use it whatsoever, right? Everybody's dying near him. He'll catch this one on his left-hand side, and the collapse comes in.
this is not the start you want to see if you're a fan of Cruelty right now. We're looking at an 8-2 lead in favor of G1. It's not just the scoreboard that's working against them. It's just, once you go 2 or 3 down against a team like G1, they know where you're spawning. They have no other objective to even look at besides knowing where you're spawning and applying pressure. Things are starting to snowball. Things are starting to get really bad for Cruelty.
And here I am saying hopefully they wouldn't in recharge instead of a map like Streets. But at the end of the day, if G1's playing well, Cruelty, they're going to feel the pressure. They need to find a way to slow this down, and maybe they can find it here. Squallaye not going to make it easy, though. There's one. He'll turn for 2. PreDevoNatoR will take it, make it 13 at this point as they spawn up in gold.
Squallaye making his way over toward the long haul side, and look at the pinch coming in out of toni TwoTurn. You have 2 players coming from long haul, toni TwoTurn putting in pressure from the gold side, and they're just surrounding Cruelty. They're making them feel their presence, and it's really tough to deal with that. At this point, if you're Cruelty, this is feeling like a 4v5.
A little bit. They're constantly at a numbers deficit. And you see the team now pinching the remainder of the players in elevator. That's a double for PreDevoNatoR. Immediately knows where to look off the kills as the new spawners come out of long haul. And notice that they're just kind of going into like that challenge. What do you do playing from trippy quarter on the box there, right by yourself? You're going to get crossed up. We need to see Cruelty play off each other's crosses and take their time with the push. Instead, I just feel like they're kind of filing in line across the perimeter.
Yeah, at this point, you know, it must be tough. It must be hitting the mental hard for Cruelty right now. I mean, this is a big deficit that they've dug themselves in. I mean, we're looking at what is 23-8 going in favor of G1, who are already fresh off of a dominant game number 1.
You've got G1 playing in the pocket, and then you've got Cruelty that just seem impatient as far as finding an opportunity to counter them. And because of it, toni, he's just going to keep picking up kills, make it not quite a triple. Would have been nasty if he just kept the shock out, hit the headshot. But that's okay. They've got leeway to work with. 27-10. You can go for fancy stuff if you like.
You know what's a fact? Anybody named Toni has got a Halo. Yeah.
All right. Well, last I checked your stream, I'd have to disagree, my man. But that's okay.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
G1 toni makes up for it, though. It levels you 2 out. There's a nice median line in there somewhere as far as level of gameplay. Let's see what DanyKnight can do. Because he needs to do something big here, Toni. We're not seeing enough out of Cruelty to give me any indication that this series is going to go past the 3-0.
I love how you said you're not seeing enough. I'm not seeing anything. Like legitimately,
well,
I mean,
which is also not. Yeah.
This is dominant. This
you
is
took the
G1.
sword off the map. No sword for you, G1. That's right.
All right.
I don't know. 34. Toni just putting them down. There's 2 on the feed thanks to Cruelty. Bit of an answer. They can use those numbers to overwhelm toni. Those are the types of fights you'd like to see, right? Rolling in pairs and just overwhelming them when they've got the advantage to do so. Nugget comes away with a camo. Honestly, the best little momentum string we've seen at a Cruelty all game here.
Yeah, that was a nice little chain of events, you know, putting them 3 down, able to get away with the camouflage, wasn't able to put it to work quite in that situation, but we are seeing some life. We are seeing some momentum coming out of Cruelty here. Now, my question is it too little too late? G1 are so close to that 40 kill mark.
It might just be, Toni, unless we see something crazy at a Cruelty. Right now, we got a split spawn. DanyKnight by himself, bottom elevator. Actually, sorry, it's Rinnegan who's with them, so I take it back. That's his team spawn. We'll see what they do from this positioning. Honestly, they're in a great spot to make some plays here, but they lost their numbers, and that's because G1 they stacked their numbers over through long haul and sent them straight up into attic, just leaving Rinnegan out of the field of play there.
22 kills out of the duo, toni and Squallaye. Cruelty as a unit have 23 kills in total. That just tells you the dominance that toni, Squallaye, and all of G1 are putting on the map here. Great kill coming in from Dragon, but Swish comes in and gets the cleanup onto Nugget. Rinnegan's going to join him as well, and Knight will be the 3rd one to fall as G1 are only 6 kills away from taking this game and taking a 2-0 series lead.
You see how quickly Dragon gets red on the escape, right? He drops out the doorway. You know the call's coming from G1. PreDevoNatoR sitting up on C-plat. He's not going to miss it. He'll catch you as you try to run away, and Rinnegan, there's a nice little reversal play. anything they can do to give them some semblance of confidence coming out of this game, because at this point, I mean, this one's over. So just, you know, make a sick play to enter you into game 3 with some good vibes, because the vibe's looking chalked here, Tony.
Oh, Nugget off the screen does get a nice little kill. Dragoniak trying to stay alive on the control side of the map. Swish taking Nugget right off the spawn as well, and Dragoniak just putting the long-range VR to work. I mean, that's the long-range VR. Man's not missing a single shot here, but as we said before, the damage has been done. You said it's pretty close to over at this point. 3 kills for G1 to come out on top, and looks like Toni wants to end it in style.
That's what I like to see. Oh, what we won't get to see it out of Toni. At the very least, DanyKnight going to take him down. PreDevoNatoR back on screen. Make it 49. One final kill to do it. Is it Swish to find the victim? Bagpipes. That player is camoed. Swish not worried about it. He'll get aggressive. And there you go. 2 teammates to replace Swish to ensure that kill goes through. A 50-31. They'll avoid a stake, but you can see G1 are just having a fun time in the hallway there at the end, right? They've got their bagging their own teammates. And when you have that type of mentality on the side of G1, you're so confident, you're so comfortable, you're having fun. That hurts, right? Like all of that stacks against you on the side of Cruelty. Can't feel good.
It hurts the enemy team, but I mean,
cruel.
It really helps your team. Like I feel like I'm playing at my best.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to keep playing better. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm playing my best in competitive tournaments when not only are we all have one single goal in mind, like, you know, where our comms are on point with small talk and our shots are hitting, but at the same time, we're also having fun. And that's what it's all about. G1 taking a 2-0 series lead against Cruelty and are now 1 win away from possibly pulling off the sweep. Why don't we take a look at the stats?
There's a confidence, you know, while you're taking your opponents seriously, you're confident, you know, obviously in your play, but then there's like a level of comfort and you just start, you know, kind of fooling around, and then it's like you're not taking it serious anymore. It almost becomes insulting when you're that opponent, right? Just according to the stats, though, I mean, I can see why. You see how dominating this scoreline has been. PreDevoNatoR 13-7, 11-7, Toni, Squallaye 12-7, and then 14 kills out of Swish. It's a rough go. Nugget, as powerful as he was in that first game, not quite the same damage in game 2. Look at that damage dealt. Actually, his team popping off here. DanyKnight with the most on the board on their side.
Yeah, one thing that popped out to me as far as on the G1 side was the balance. 14, 13, 12, and 11 kills come out. Like, nobody really straggling behind. Everybody be able to step up. At one point, I pointed out that there was 11 kills apiece coming out of, I believe it was Squallaye and Toni, and Swish had maybe about 7 kills at that point. From that point, he just started stepping up in the kills. He ends up leading all slays with 14 kills toward the end of the game. Swish going off, so is the entire G1 roster, and this is what you wanted to see when a team comes out of the open bracket, especially one as deadly as we had here in Kansas City.
Like to see some more patient play, some more team play out of Cruelty, right? I mean, when things were looking rough for them, we just saw them consistently kind of send their numbers out. That one situation with the one player on box completely exposed. There's nobody like immediately available to cover his sight line to team shot with him. I think one big thing on recharge that I noticed with the top teams is they just play off the team shot, right? Like they've got one guy controlling, or he's up in control, let's say top control, putting shots into one guy Attic, and while that's happening, you've got a player sneaking through long haul, waiting for a moment to pounce, and he doesn't pounce till the damage comes into Attic. He's playing off the damage so he gets an easy kill. I didn't really see that with Cruelty. I mean, we didn't see much, like you said. But it just feels like they're all like, okay, go. Pick the lane, go forward, you know, as opposed to, like, playing off each other.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you 100%. The only time we saw Cruelty get those clean 2 and 3 downs was when they were overloading aside.
Yeah.
And not even just like, you know, 2 players. They were sending 3 players through some of these routes and using their numbers to overwhelm G1. That didn't happen too much, but it was never during individual plays. We didn't really see a lot of 1v2s, which we didn't want to see. We want to see Cruelty play that teamwork, play that bait and switch, and that's what's going to net them a win.
Right. We had live fire coming up next, Toni. What do you think in the next game, if there's any hope whatsoever? What would be your, you know, your tip, Tony's tip coming into game 3? What do you got?
Don't let G1 get the sniper. Whatever you do, do not allow G1 to get the S7. Otherwise, you are going to be in for a tough time.
I've heard you say this before. It could be, you know, one thing could be, pick it up and make plays. Another could be just, you know, if you gotta burn the ammo, toss it off the map.
Hey,
by all means, just keep it out of their hands. Either way, we need to see something special out of Cruelty to give us some faith that this series will go on. Or if not, I guess G1, they'll plow through.
Well, maybe just maybe this is what maybe Cruelty wants to see. Maybe they want to hop into Strongholds, out-rotate the enemy team. How many times have we seen a team lose out in the Slays battle, but be able to out-rotate the enemy team and use that objective efficiency to pull off wins? Maybe that's what Cruelty are looking to do here in game number 3.
Okay. Well, one way to see it is to control the sandbox to start. You got Dragon here with the Heat Whip. He's challenging a 2v1 here to get to the camp. What a challenge! And I think those are the situations that we're talking about, right? Like, how do you expect to come away with anything? Like, maybe, sure, okay, you know what? Nugget gets a double off the damage that he does. Sure, okay. That's what you want to see. But, like, I'm just seeing these very aggressive plays. No hesitation. In the end, G1, they still pull away with that camo.
What I'm going to assume is maybe DanyKnight probably heard Nugget say, I'm coming towards you. And maybe they're about to work a little bit of a bait and switch, but
Nugget's too late.
And maybe there needs to be a little bit more small talk saying, when are we ready to collapse? Hey, I'm here, let's go. Let it collapse now, let's push now. It was a little bit off timing right there, and sadly, because of that, PreDevoNatoR now able to get away with the camo and the heat wave. Gets away with a stick grenade to the face. I guess that's not really what he wanted.
The trade is a trade. As long as you come away with something, but you can see 26 points on the board here for G1 to start. Strong as expected. Pressure coming into B and Swish with quite a flank from behind enemy lines here. They'll pick up an easy kill, access to the cap. A nice little crossfire out of Cruelty to keep him away from it. Squallaye, he hears it though. He'll clean up Danny.
And not that it's impossible to hold an HC setup here on live fire, but I would say B is probably the strongest stronghold that we have on the map, because you have access, you have sight lines from C and the H side of the map. So we're seeing both these teams fighting heavily over B. We do see G1 ultimately winning that situation, and now they're putting good points on the board once again. 3 down to go Cruelty, and that final player gonna fly at toni, going in for the ego chow. toni loves that.
G1 doing a great job of prioritizing, camo and the weapons when they need to. Yes, they have the BC setup, but they still left B to kind of, or they shifted their numbers to focus outside here. Make sure they can control these power-ups when they need them, then come back to those ideal positions. Dragon going for another aggressive play. He'll get strafed out by G1. Rinnegan going to try to take advantage of the audio cues to at least come away with something here.
Yeah, one thing when I was watching Cruelty in some of these tournaments, and I feel like they've gotten used to bullying lesser talented teams. When it comes to lesser talented teams, they're challenging those individual gunfights. They're winning every single one and playing their numbers off of that. But I feel like when they run against the likes of G1 and some of these other teams that are in the bracket, they seem to have a tough time. Cruelty needs to find a way to get in rhythm, find a way to play with each other. And even if you're not winning those pivotal battles, either avoid them or find a way to get into the ones that I guess work in your advantage.
Or just use the needler, because that'll do the trick.
I'm down for that.
Close range, that weapon is actually deadly, but the snipe's a little better, assuming you're hitting shots. Danny forced to drop down. 77 on the board here. Cruelty with 2 caps in their favor. Danny with an opportunity. He'll go for the scope on that, but he hits the shot. Doesn't quite get the second kill. Squallaye comes out with a double and a snipe off that. So G1, unfortunately, they're just handed a weapon.
Squallaye didn't need a needler to get a double kill off of that one. Excellent damage coming in. Gets the assist on the first one. No scope to the brain for the second one. Body shot with the sniper, but not able to take down Danny from across the map. Got a little froggy there. Gonna leap onto the black screen.
Such a great use of the scope there. Jumps up, perfect placement. He's right beside the head, ready to peek it. You love to see it when it all comes together. Speaking of which, Swish has a camo as well, so he can make plays too. They're on B, they're on C, they're on A. About to get a trip cap. They keep the Slays up here. Do you even bother to challenge him back tower? Just limited options here for Cruelty, limited time as well. Toni, the final game in this series if they don't do something quick.
Camouflage in the hand of Swish, and PreDevoNatoR was able to get away with the sniper rifle. So all of the power-ups and power weapons going in favor of G1. And how many times we talk about that sandbox control, how many times we talk about not just relying on your BR, but utilizing everything on the map.
Well, they're definitely doing that. Except the Mangler, right? They'll skip right by that weapon. It'll stay on the rack. until we make some changes to it at least. 117 on the board for G1. And oh my God, the shots out of PreDevoNatoR. They're so confident at this point, right? G1, they needed this little boost in confidence and energy. I think the 2 close shaves they had in the previous series is gonna hurt. But to come out of this series on top, it gives them momentum for their final one in the pool. And, you know, maybe things look up. Maybe their placement in the bracket will be just a little better.
Cruelty able to spawn him onto the A side, so they took Bravo pretty quickly, ended up rotating over towards Alpha, but sadly they weren't able to get the slays in order to defend Bravo, and now we're seeing G1 once again steal away that double cap, and Squallaye stealing lives with the heat wave, eating that player.
Picking up the entire map in the process. Full trip cap and locked in. DeVonator gonna nade himself, maybe give Cruelty an opportunity to get some space here because of it. He does die. Swish gonna pick up on it. He'll take 2 off of that as well. That'll give him access to snipe. They still have a trip cap. And Cruelty feeling the pain at this point. Swish not gonna let this, yeah, he's not gonna let him get away with it either.
He tried, and at least the camouflage got burnt, but it's still a triple cap going in favor of G1, and Cruelty really having a tough time in pool play here. I feel bad. I mean, his team traveled a long way. Well, they've earned their right to make it here, but man, it's been really tough, and G1 are making it really hard on them.
I think a true competitor is going to take full advantage of this opportunity, though, right? And hopefully learn from this experience. If you love competitive Halo, then even losing, you know, is it's just part of the game. It's just part of the process. So hopefully they don't hang their heads too low. They find a way to adapt in the future. So I don't think their tournament is quite over just yet, Tony, but this series definitely is.
2 down go Cruelty once again. That it will give some numbers to G1. We're on board DanyKnight. Went to finding his way over towards bottom mid, so excellent job for DanyKnight to stay alive here. Gonna earn himself a heat wave, and we do see Alpha change hands onto Cruelty. But as that happens, G1 gonna rotate all the way towards Bravo, and we see a double cap once again going in favor of G1. 215 points for the boys in blue.
Rinnegan and team open up with 2 kills here, so that might actually give them access to C at the very least. They can play off the high ground, but a 2v1 Chow coming straight into the cap. DanyKnight will come in from behind, though, and at the very least trade out the kills. So they still have control of top map. And can they work with it? Can they get something going here? Give us the impression that they, you know, there's something to hope for with these plays. If they start losing their numbers with this type of setup, that might be curtains for the game.
Nugget staying alive towards Bravo. That's what I like to see, though, coming out of Cruelty. I mean, that point, you don't have to push for the trip cap too early. Get yourself Bravo, get yourself a double cap, and then hide your presence on the map until the right moment. Sadly, we do see Slays once again go in favor of G1 here. Dragon doing an excellent job of staying alive, then rotating over towards his teammate. Squallaye does end up going down as a player in no man's land over towards back B, but somehow he's able to slay out. That's going to be a flank out of G1, 3 down out of Cruelty, and Bravo once again will change hands, and looks like they're working on Alpha as well.
So Cruelty, they had a setup, right? BC. How did G1 break the setup, Tony? They sent like majority of their team straight outside past the camo and just overwhelmed DanyKnight over on C side. And by doing that, they take control of C, they take high ground. That forces Cruelty to rotate to A to try to counter him. But now they don't have map control anymore, right? They just pour out from top map, G1, and just take back B, take back the game. And that's kind of the chess match in the end of the day. G1, they put it together for a very confident 3-0 finish, and one that they needed to give them some momentum in the remainder of pools, I think.
Yeah, excellent plays coming out of G1, and I'm excited to see this squad. I mean, I wanted to see Swish find the home. Been good friends with him for a while. I actually teamed with him myself. I ended up coaching him because I'm not that good of a player, and I'm happy to see him find the home here with Gamers First.
Right. G1 looking pretty good off that series. Of course, they had 2 kind of heartbreaking losses leading up to it, but there's some potential, I think, still. So good reason to be optimistic. Some good Halo played, and I'm sure some good Halo still left to be played in this tournament as well, Tony. Can't wait to see what's coming up next.
Yeah, now Cruelty still win the tournament. There's still a chance that they can ride out throughout the elimination bracket and make something happen, but we got to talk about G1.
Yep.
2-0 game 1. 50-31 game 2. 250 to 111 game 3. That is a dominant
Wow.
series going towards gamers first.
That's a report card you want to show to mama. I don't know. It is dominant for sure, Tony.